Welcome to topic 5 of customer relationship management. In this particular presentation, I'm going to look at challenges and best practices in CRM management. So by the end of this presentation, I expect you to identify common challenges faced in implementing CRM systems across various industries, analyze the impact of data quality and data management practices, and evaluate different CRM strategies and determine their suitability for specific business context, and finally, recognize the role of customer segmentation in optimizing CRM. So having looked at the learning outcome, now let us look at some of the challenges we face in implementing customer relationship management systems in our organizations. The first one is cost and budget overruns. Customer relationship management systems involves spending a lot of money on procurement of the systems, and also in terms of training the employees who are going to be managing the systems, and also training the frontline workers. I'm talking about the sales force who directly interact with the customers. So if you don't train them, they will not be capable of handling difficult customers. They may end up fighting the customers, which in turn will damage the reputation of the organization. Remember, a customer is always right. As a salesperson, you need to know that your customer, regardless of the problem, he or she is always right. So this requires training. Otherwise, as a manager or as an organization, if you do not train the sales team, of course, they will not solve the issues of customers. Instead, they will make it worse. So that is challenge number one. Challenge number two is data migration and integration. When we talk of data migration, we're talking about shifting or moving the data from one system to another. In the process, there might be an issue of data loss, which may not give the results you want. So by the time you reach the final system you're going to use, you may find that most of the data are missing, just because in the process of transferring the data, because of maybe mishandling the data, the person who's transferring the data is not well trained or managing data. So you may end up getting incomplete information. So it becomes a challenge when you talk about implementing CRM systems within the organization. So when we talk of data integration, we're talking about aligning different data. We talk about the customer buying behavior, we talk about the purchasing power, etc. If you don't align them, then it becomes very difficult for you to get the results you want. So that is how data migration and integration becomes a challenge as far as customer relationship management system implementation is concerned. The last one is resistance to change. Of course, some top management might not buy the idea of having a new CRM system in place. So convincing them to accept the change might take time, and some of them will even reject it. And also the employees who are already familiar with the existing system might not buy the idea of putting in a new system. They look at it as a means of trying to chase them away from the job. So as a manager, what you need to do is you need to convince the top management on the advantages of implementing a new management systems and the reason why you are going for it, and also convince the employees who may look at it as an attempt to make them get the job. So explain to them exactly what is required of them so that they will not resist the change. In addition to that, you can also train the employees on how to operate the new system as a means of making sure that they adapt to the change. So these are some of the common challenges of implementing customer relationship management systems within the organization. So having looked at the challenges, now let us look at, we are still continuing with the challenge. Of course, we have insufficient training and support. The training could be in terms of empowering the employees on how to use the systems, and also empowering the employees on how to solve whenever they encounter the customers. So some organizations, they don't look at it as necessary. They don't invest in employee training. So if you don't train your employees, then they are not going to perform to the expectation. They will not be handling customers' issues professionally. They may end up involved in fighting, chaos with the customers, which in turn will affect the brand or reputation of the organization. So in terms of insufficient support, I've just explained it. The top management of the organization might not buy the idea of having a new system in the organization. So that is about insufficient support. So you need to also convince them beyond the reasonable doubt that this system really is needed for the organization to operate smoothly. So we still continue with the third challenges. The next one is the security and the privacy concerns. Especially when you're migrating the data from one system to another, or from the old system to the new one. The person who is migrating the data has access to customers' information. Okay, some of the information are supposed to be confidential. They're not supposed to be revealed or uncovered to the public. So how do you do that? You need to make sure that you train the people who are going to transfer the data. You need to make sure that you guide them on how to keep confidential information, because such information, if they are revealed to the public, it might affect psychologically, it might affect the customer. So by doing that, we are going to make the customers feel uncomfortable, and also the customer might take you to court because of revealing his or her information to the public. So when talk of data security and privacy, we are basically focusing on the process of transferring the data from one system to another. So these are some of the challenges concerning customer relationship management systems. So having looked at the challenges, of course, now you have to look at the best practices as an organization. What do you do? Number one is you need to define clear goals and the objectives. Okay. You need to know why are you doing this, why do you want to buy a new system in place. Maybe because the old system is not sufficient enough to run the organization. That's why you are implementing a new system. And then also you need to look at the business strategy, the overall strategy of the business. In the next 5-10 years, maybe you have the expansion program in place. Okay. You're operating in Juba, but now you want to have branches across the country, maybe in Yambio, in Ye, in Maridi, etc. All this requires alignment with the customer relationship management system. So these are some of the best practices you need to do. The next one is involve the stakeholders. So in terms of the stakeholders in this context, we are referring to the customers themselves. We are referring to the employees, and also we are referring to the shareholders or the owners of the company. These are the stakeholders. You need to involve them as you are planning to implement new customer relationship management systems. For the owners of the business, of course, you are looking for their support. By the end of the day, they want to release the fund for implementation. For the employees, you are supposed to seek their opinion on the new system. They will give you what is supposed to be done. Maybe the old system still works, but it lacks some elements of streamlining the entire process. They will also tell you what they feel like. And then finally, the customers. Okay? The customers are the engine of your business. You don't have customer, no business. The business cannot go on. So you need to involve them as you are planning to have a customer relationship management system in place. So these are the key stakeholders within the context of customer relationship management. So the next one is choose the right CRM system. Okay, you need to choose the one which is manageable, number one. Number two, which is cost effective. Do not go for an expensive system which the organization cannot manage, because you have other projects in the organization to run. Okay? You need to buy maybe other equipments. You also need to invest in training the employees. You need to buy raw materials, etc. All this requires money. But if you go for the one which is extremely expensive, it means that you may not have enough budget now to train the employees on how to use the system. That's number one. Then another implication of choosing the right one is the ability of the employees to operate the system. it is also very important. So don't just go for a system which is extremely complicated for the employees to use. That means you're going to invest a lot of money to train them, you're going to invest a lot of money on buying this etc. It will be costly on the side of the organization. So the next best practice is plan your data migration. So when you're talking about data migration, I've just explained it as shifting the data from the old system to the new one. You need to plan it very well. Who is going to handle the data transfer process? Okay, which method are you going to use? That's the under planning. It is to make sure that there is no missing information. It's also to make sure that the information of customers are kept confidential, etc. Then lastly, under best practice is you also need to provide comprehensive training and support. So I've been talking about training. You can train employees on how to use the system, and also you need to train employee on how to interact with the customers whenever they are having some problems, and also the supervisors will be there in place. The people who are operating the system, if they face any challenge, they need to know whom to report to, who can help them, etc. So these are some of the best practices of implementing customer relationship management systems in the organization. So we still continue in the best practice. You need to communicate effectively throughout the process. Communication is very important. You need to inform the stakeholders, which I've just mentioned, the owners of the company, the customers, the employees themselves, etc. These are the stakeholders. You need to communicate to them from day one as you are planning to purchase a new system. This helps them to be aware of what is taking place in the organization, so that when time comes for the training, it will not be a surprise to them. The next one is you need to establish clear change management strategies. Change, we normally say that if you don't want change, change will change you. So in this context, you need to make sure that you communicate the change to the customer, to the employees, especially people who are going to manage the system. They should not look at it with the negative perception that maybe it is an attempt to drag them out of the job. No. Explain to them clearly what is expected of them, what the system is going to produce, etc. That helps a lot in terms of resisting the change. Then you need to test and refine before launch. Okay? Before you start implementing or before you start using the system, you have to test it to see if all the elements are operational, if all the features of the system are operational, etc. Then lastly is you need to continuously monitor and evaluate the performance of the system. Okay, this can be done through feedback from the employees who are operating the system. They will tell the management how the system has been, and also it can be done through the feedback from the customers. The customer will also give their view on how the system is. They will share with you the experience. Some of this experience could be negative or positive, but if it is negative, of course, you don't need to take it bad. You have to work on how to improve it. Like I've been saying before, that negative feedback in terms of management is very important because it helps you to adjust and then be in the right direction. So these are some of the best practices of implementing effective CRM system in the organization. So having looked at that, now let us concentrate on data quality and integration issues as far as CRM is concerned. So data quality encompasses accuracy, completeness, and consistency and relevance. That's what I mean by data quality. For you to say this data is quality, it must be accurate, complete, and brief for easy understanding. But if you have data which is not consistent, you find that the name is different when you come to the purchasing behavior, it is also not reflecting the owner, the customer, him or herself, etc. That's what you call inaccuracy of the data. So it becomes very difficult for the management to make a decision because there is no correlation, there is no connection between the different parts of the information. So it's very important that you make sure that your data is actually complete in all aspects. That is what we call data quality. The next one is poor data quality leads to inaccurate insights. Of course, if you have data which is not well organized, it affects the final decision. Okay? The decision will not be accurate because of the data. It is of poor quality. The last one is common issues include missing values, duplicates. Duplicates is when someone has two versions of the data, the same information but in not more than even two, okay, or three, the same information. So you don't know which one to go with. So you need to have only one version instead of having two or three versions. Okay. And then you also need to make sure that you name them accurately for easy retrieval. If you do not name your data, it becomes very difficult for you to retrieve. And if someone is going to take over, the person will suffer in terms of retrieving those data because the title is not properly named. Okay. Then also we have outdated information as some of the issues we have in data. Okay. The client has given me a phone number, my phone number is no longer in existence. Maybe the phone was stolen. Okay. That's what we call outdated. The client has told that he or she is living in a certain location, but the client later shifted. And in your data, you're still maintaining the old one. It becomes what? Outdated. So you need to be always updating your data because it helps you if you want to call the customers. You just get the number and then you call. Otherwise, you end up getting the number and then you dial. The system tells you that the number you're calling does not exist or is out of the service. Then it affects what you want to communicate to your customer or to your clients. So these are some of the issues of data quality and integration as far as CRM system is concerned. The next one now is we're going to look at data integration. So under data integration, we're basically talking about flow of information, okay, between different parts, okay, from the beginning up to the last. There must be consistency. Otherwise, if you do not have that, then that means elements of integration is not there. Putting different information together so that you come up with a complete information or decision you want to make. So the decision a business or organizations are making is actually based on the data they have. So in the modern management, many organizations are now investing heavily in data management because they know that is where the engine of expansion is. If you want to diversify the sector you are doing, maybe you want to introduce more commodities, you go to data analyze, okay, the purchasing power of your customers, the purchasing behavior, the pattern, etc. It helps you a lot in terms of determining how much quantity to produce and at what cost. It's still under data integration. You have co-integration leads to data duplication, inconsistency, and the accessibility issues. Okay, I've just explained the issues of retrieval. Retrieval can be explained under accessibility. You want to get the data, but you fail to get it, yet it is in the computer. Why? Because of the title is not well documented. Even the folder where the data is kept, you don't know where it is, so it becomes very difficult for you to access the data. Okay, the customer is waiting for you, but you're there struggling to look for the information. This is it. Very bad. It is showing that the organization is not organized in terms of data management. The last one is common challenges include incompatible formats, conflicting schema, and then disparate technologies. So that is the challenge we face in data integration. So sometimes you find that the format you are using is not matching. Okay. So you need to look at the format. It has to be consistent from the beginning up to the last. And also the system you're going to introduce, you need to understand what kind of data, what kind of information it can store. Otherwise, if you don't understand that, you may end up storing data with a different format, then the system will end up rejecting your data, etc. So these are some of the elements of data integration issues as far as CRM is concerned. So how do you solve the challenge? Number one is data profiling and analysis. Okay? You need to identify data quality issues, okay, in terms of duplication, in terms of accuracy, in terms of whether it is outdated or etc. So if you identify that, then it becomes very easy for you to manage it. But if you don't understand that the data I'm having is outdated, the data I'm having is duplicated etc., then it affects the entire process. Then data cleaning and standardization. So on top of standardization, we're talking about uniformity, okay, having a uniform format of storing data. This helps a lot in terms of avoiding errors and also to eliminate things to do with the inconsistency or missing values, etc. So the next solution is you need to have a data governance policy. Okay, you need to establish clear guidance for data ownership, access, and quality. So one thing you can do here is you can assign 2 or 3 people to manage data so that they will be accountable. Otherwise, if you just leave it open without clear policy, everyone in the organization have access to the data, then chances are high that the data can be manipulated or it can be duplicated. Then it becomes very difficult to retrieve. So assign responsibility to people who are going to be managing the data so that when there's any issue to do with data, they will be accountable for it. Then we have also data integration tools and platforms. You need to use technologies to streamline data flow and the transformation. So instead of having it done manually, we talked about the issue of data privacy. Okay, people cannot keep quiet. They will end up exposing the information in future or in near future. That happens if the organization has issues with the employees. Okay. Some employees, when they leave the organization, they end up exposing the dirty secret of the organization, etc., just to spoil the image and the reputation of the organization. So to avoid that, you need to make sure that you have a technology in streamlining or transferring the data from one or from the older system to the new one. Then the next one is you need to test and monitor the system regularly. Okay, this helps you to identify errors and then rectify them in time. But if you don't monitor it, you may think that everything is okay, yet the system is not performing, it's not producing the results you want. Where you'll be comfortably seated telling your bosses that everything is okay, it is the opposite. So as a manager, you need to make sure that you monitor or you test your system regularly to identify the errors in time. So when you identify the errors in time, of course, you are going to work on it and to make sure that it is solved there and there. So that is how you solve some of these challenges. So having looked at that, let us now look at cross-functional CRM powerhouse. When we talk of cross-functional, we are talking about departmentalization now. So in an organization, we have very many departments. Example, if you're talking about the profit-making entities, okay, we are talking about the marketing department, which basically deals with the sales. And within the marketing department, we have sub-units or sub-departments. We can talk about the sales force. We can talk about a customer service management, something like that, etc. Okay. We still have the logistics and procurement department. They make sure that the movement of commodities or products from the business premises to the market is done in timely manner. Also, they make sure that the raw materials required for the manufacturing of commodities are also brought to the facilities on time, etc. So basically, logistics deals with the movement of goods or the raw materials. It's very important to consider them. Another department is also the finance department. The finance department makes sure that they release the funds whenever there's issues to do with the logistics. And then, of course, we have the human resource department now. This is where we talk about the brain, which interacts with the customers. Okay. So this is what you call cross-functional CRM management system, involving all the departments in an organization for one purpose, and that is managing the relationship between the organization and the customers. So diverse perspective provide a holistic view of the customer journey. When we talk of the holistic, we are talking about considering all angles of the customer relationship management, from the view of the human resource, from the view of the marketing department, from the view of the logistics, etc. So when we talk of logistics basically ensures that the goods or the commodities are delivered to the customer in time. Okay, that is the view of the logistics department as far as customer relationship is concerned. How about the marketing? The marketing basically deals with the satisfaction of the services being provided by the organization, and then the human resource management looks at it in the angle that the customers are handled professionally. So that's what you call a holistic view of a customer journey from different departments. Then have the improved communication synergy lead to better data utilization and the campaign effectiveness. So in talk of communication, we are basically talking about the flow of information within the different departments in an organization. So the logistics, the marketing, the finance, the human resource, etc. There must be communication between the among the department. Otherwise, no communication. The logistic will not know that the goods are ready to be delivered. The logistics department will not know. Okay, the human resource department will not know that the people are missing or people are not enough to do the campaign, etc. So through the communication, the different departments are going to be working together to make sure that the marketing campaign is done effectively. So that's what we call cross-functional customer relationship management powerhouse. The next best practice within the CRM system is that setting clear goals and roles. So under setting clear goals and roles, you need to establish clear and measurable goals for the CRM team. For example, if the goal is to make sure that the level of customer satisfaction is increased, you need to explain that clearly to the team so that they know that they need to increase the level of customer satisfaction. So as an organization, we need to measure whether that goal is achieved by conducting a customer feedback survey. And that will tell you whether they are satisfied or not. So when you discover that the customers are not satisfied, it means that the CRM team did not do a lot of work to make sure that that objective is actually realized. So the next thing is still under setting clear goal is that you need to clearly define individual roles and responsibilities. So within the team, everyone should be knowing what he or she is supposed to be doing. This helps a lot in terms of reluctance. People will be reluctant thinking that who is going to do this role and when. So if you give the clear objective, the responsibility, whenever they come to work, everyone will know what is expected of him or her. It helps a lot in terms of making the work flow easily. Then lastly, you need to outline communication protocols and work flows of collaboration. So we talk of communication protocol, we're talking about who reports to who, or who supervises who. It's very important in an organization to have that kind of protocols in place. Whenever the employee gets a problem within the system, they will know whom to report to. Then that person must be having a knowledge of solving the problem. Do not allocate or assign someone who do not have the skills of solving the problem. That will not make sense. It will be a point of making the work to stand still. So whenever the employees are bringing in the problem, it has to be solved there and then to make sure that the workflow is kept on. So that's about setting clear goals and the roles as far as SRM team is concerned. Then the next best practice is training, collaboration, and the recognition. Okay. So you need to train the employees on how to use the system, because the system is new and some of them have never seen it before. So if you don't train them on how to use the system, of course, the system will not be functioning just because of lack of people who are going to be operating the system. So training is very important. As you are thinking of investment in the system, you also need to think of investment in the employees who are going to manage the system. The next one is that you need to facilitate regular team meetings and collaborative activities. Team meetings help a lot in terms of employees sharing their experiences about the system, the challenges they are facing in operating the systems. Then you can look for a possible solution. So team meeting or regular meeting is very important. Then collaborative activities. Okay, if someone is having problems, then another person should be always there to intervene, to make the work go on. Otherwise, if you don't have a meeting, then you will not have that chance of sharing ideas. You will not have that chances of sharing the problems you are facing as far as operating the system is concerned. And also collaboration helps a lot, because if I don't have the knowledge, my immediate colleague comes in and helps me, it means the work moves on. But if my colleague does not come and help me when I'm stranded, of course, the work also stops. So that's about training and collaboration as far as CRM is concerned. Then lastly, you need to recognize achievement and celebrate team success. Okay, this achievement helps a lot. Recognizing them helps a lot in terms of motivation. It helps them a lot in terms of commitment, etc. So that is how you practice training, collaboration, and recognition within the context of customer relationship management system. So having looked at that, the next important practice or best practice you need to do as an organization is continuous improvement. Okay, so customer satisfaction is very important, and then customers' preferences and expectations also keeps on changing based on the prevailing situation. Okay, so as a manager, you need to monitor that. What is the prevailing condition? How is the expectations of the customers? Is very important. If you don't improve or adapt based on the expectation of the customers, then you are going to lose it. Okay, you are going to lose it because their expectations are not met. Okay, the reasons why the organization is still having customers is because of meeting their expectations or even exceeding the expectation. But if you can't meet the expectation of your customers, then chances are high that they are going to stop working with you. And you know the repercussion. When the customers are not working with you, of course, the business will definitely collapse. The next one is new technologies emerge offering innovative solutions. Okay, the system you are using now might be outdated in the next 5 years or 10 years because of innovation. So you need to always look at the latest technology in the market so that you can adopt them instead of relying on the old technology. Then the last one is competitive pressures necessitate strategic adjustment. So in an organization, you always have competition, whether from your immediate competitors or even at international level, you have competition. So that one means that you need to actually assess yourself so that you become very competitive in the industry. So you are not only serving the customer alone, you have other organizations providing the same services to the same customers. Remember what I explained before, expectation. When you are not meeting the expectation of the customer, of course they shift. Whenever they shift, they will go to your competitor. So your competitor will gain ground, as for you, you are losing. So improvement helps you to make sure that you gain the ground to withstand the competition in the industry. So that's about continuous improvement and adoption of customer relationship management strategies. Okay. So the next one is we want to look at the pillars of dynamic human customer relationship strategies. Number one is customer centricity. When we talk about customer centricity, we're talking about customer-centered approach, whereby you put the customer at the center of whatever things you are doing. Whatever planning, whatever decision you are going to take, it is in the best interest of your customers. The next one is data analysis. You need to make use of the information you are getting from the system. It helps you a lot in terms of making accurate decisions. Information to do with the consumer buying behavior, information to do with the purchasing pattern of your customers, etc. It's very important. You need to look at that before you decide. Otherwise, you may end up manufacturing more products when people are not coming to buy. Why? Because you ignore the data, you ignore the information in terms of how much they are buying and how long do they take even to buy from your business. So information is very important. Then continuous learning, we just finished explaining about continuous learning. You always need to learn from the experience of the past technology. You need to learn from the experience of the customer, etc. It helps you a lot in terms of improvement and moving forward. So these are some of the pillars of dynamic customer relationship management strategies. So the last one now is we're going to look at the tools and the techniques of customer relationship management strategy. Number one is feedback surveys, basically from the customers. Okay, you can run that to get the view of your customers concerning your products, concerning your services, etc. Like I've been saying always that you need to focus more on the negative one. The negative one is very important because it will help you to improve on the areas of weaknesses to make sure that next time you meet or even exceed the expectations of your customers. So feedback is very important. That's tool number one. Tool number two is industry research. Okay? The industry you are working in, if it is education, okay, if it is entertainment, whatever industry you're working in, make sure that you analyze the trend in the industry, then adapt accordingly. Otherwise, if you don't analyze the trend in the industry, you will be operating based on the outdated information. And what happens, of course, people will shift attention to the modern ways of doing things. So it's very important that you look at the trends, what is happening in the industry where you are working. Then lastly is you need to have CRM system updates and integration. Okay, so you need to have new features to make sure that all parts of information, all the details of the data you're collecting is actually functional. That is how you get to know whether the system is working or not. So these are some of the tools and techniques you need to adopt if you are going to have a successful CRM system in your organization. So with that, we have come to the end of this presentation. I expect you to do more research review to have a broader view of the topic we have just concluded.